Alright, hello again. There's Phantasy Star, Generation 4, PS4 Retranslation, Relocalization once again. I did a little house cleaning. I went to the weapons plant and the climatrol spots, and the dialogue's a little bit different there, but it's nothing very interesting. The most interesting thing that I put in was when you go to climatrol and you beat the little boss there. They're like, oh, nothing's wrong with the climate control equipment and everything. And then instead of Raj's Raj's original line was just like, I told you the problem is Garberg Tower. I just had him say, just because I tell the best jokes doesn't mean I can never be serious. And then he's like, I told you same thing. Garberg Tower is what the problem is, and no one's listening to him. And yeah, at the weapons plant, nothing very interesting there. There's not even a boss or much to do. You just get a bunch of stuff for Ren. But yeah, the main banter that I changed was when Ren picks up the burst rocket unit, and Rudy's line is, there are things here that I have no clue as to what they are, which is maybe a robot maybe Ren would say that himself, but probably not Rudy. It's pretty strange wording, again. So just making things more like something you'd read out of a book, was my goal with all the dialogue, that I touched up in the game. Another Can Jam reference. I think that line is a little bit edited, but I don't remember how so. Okay. Alright, so this is the next story part of the game. We've got some house cleaning done on Dezoris, and everyone's all decked out with the best gear. Another awesome thing about Phantasy Star 4 is just, that just doesn't waste time with a lot of like RPG, nonsense side quests, that are fun to do in an RPG, but it really keeps Phantasy Star 4 moving and keeps the sense of urgency that the game doesn't really give you any busy work to do. The Hunter's quests are really the only like side stories, and even the extra dungeons in the game are like, oh, this is in an old facility that Mother Brain made for this purpose. It's mostly like shut down now or whatever. I don't think this is the right end, is it? Yeah, and like you don't get any like, it's fun to have like bonus party members in a game, like Go-Go and like have 6, but it's just really cool that everyone who joins your party is here for the main mission of the game. It is not just some random person who's like, yeah, I'm bored, I'll join you, and, risk my life to follow you goofballs around doing, I don't even know what you're doing. Like, those are all cool things with video games, obviously. But I think it just makes Phantasy Star 4 special that it's just so, like, focused on what it's doing, and then nothing really takes you, out of the game and, like, out of, like, your main, mission. Change this guy. He's kind of a owner, just kind of a jerk already, so I just made him kind of more of a jerk, which is some incidental dialogue, and his wife there is very nice. This is kind of, if you get to this part of the game, this is a place that you can get kind of stuck. This is the only part of the game, I think, that's kind of like, oh geez, you have to talk to everybody and you don't really know what to do next. Phantasy Star 4 does such a great job of just like, herding you to the next thing, and that was more rare back then, you know, with RPGs. You know, helping you in an organic way to figure out, you know, what's the next thing to do, without making you, you know, just like run around like an idiot for a while. Obviously that line's a little bit different. Well, let's see the dialogue here, because I'm pretty sure I touched it up a little bit. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't have that part of this dialogue. Let's see. Find it. For this. I think it's over here. Here we go. Okay, yeah. So it's the same. This is pretty much the same. So, I don't like this line at all, but his original line is, "Ha ha ha, I don't believe it." In responding to Rika's, "Even Raja has fallen sick. He'll die if we leave him like this." So, I don't know if the designers are trying to have Rudy tell a joke here, or what. So, I didn't know what to do with this line, so I made him tell, like, a terrible rhyme. You know, like Raja's, but this is what is basically in the game, so I'm just trying to clarify, you know, what is the original intention in the game. So I know it's kind of dumb, but I didn't know what else to do unless I just took that whole exchange out. So somehow, we never really know, but somehow Rika and Rune have, I mean, Rune is more obvious, but somehow Rika has some kind of connection to, you know, the Black Wave. And they never really say why, and I don't really understand why she would be able to sense that, why she sensed, you know, Alice's turn for the worst, you know, because of the Black Wave, or, I have no idea why. Could not find anything in the notes, or, you know, the translation notes to verify that. Instead of saying "darn!" exclamation point, you know, just have him say something that maybe the audience is thinking, you know, the player is thinking. Like, how could that be here? Oh no. Yeah, so just to be, you know, in case you haven't talked to these people, you wouldn't know that, you know, anything about the Espers. So, you know, I had him say, well, you know, she's an Esper. And I like the word bravado, so. Okay, let's motor. Oh wait, let's talk to Raja first. I don't remember the original text here, but obviously pretty much with all of Raja's dialogue, you know, I gave it some massaging to always keep him in character, so to speak. And it does say later that he's basically like getting fresh with the nurses, so. And you can keep fighting those guys, but we already know what to do, so you just gotta run. They're really cool looking. And apparently, I think there was a plan to be an area, like within the trees, that you'd have to go through to get to the tower, but I'm glad it ended up like this. Yep, and that's her last name. Her Japanese name is like Sesh, I think, something like that. A lot of the names are kind of, you know, strange, and there's multiple ways to say them in English. There's no one right way to say most of the Japanese versions of the names, because they're all like not common, even like common fantasy names. And Kyra's, I don't think her personality really comes out that strongly. Like in the game, she's supposed to be like a overprotective, like big sister. You know, obviously you get she set out to do all this on her own, which is very brave and, you know, a bit foolish. See if any of this dialogue is different. Yeah, that's shorter in that style. Just change the word 2000 to the numbers. Oh, and I made a decision to call Alyssa the heroine, like capital H, like, because she's the only one they ever talk about, the main one that we know of in, you know, the Phantasy Star universe, and you know, so to give her, that's like her proper title basically, so we capitalize that instead of just saying a heroine all the time. This is mostly the same. I'm having a far back-to-back sentences. I don't really like that, but oh well. She says, you know, her words were intelligent, graceful, classy, just a wonderful person. I don't know. I think this is more fitting to someone who's more of like, you know, a living legend. You know, grace, nobility, wisdom. Oh, that's why I changed Rudy's tackle this problem earlier, because she uses the same phrase again to tackle this. So he sounds skeptical in the original script, so, you know, I just played off of that a little bit more. Yeah, and ironically, it took me a long time to figure out millennium is spelled with 2 N's. For the longest time, I had that misspelled, even though it's in the subtitle of the game, the end of the millennium. Yeah, instead of, you don't believe? Like, you mock me? Give rise to many a legend. I don't know, I just didn't care for that phrase, so I thought this sums everything up a little bit better, to talk about what a legend he is. His exploits are unbelievable, but unequivocally true. Yeah, instead of saying, gee, I wonder if that could be true, you know, say what maybe, you know, again, what as a player you might be thinking as an RPG player. Well, you've seen, you know, impossible things happen in this game already. Just made Rika a little more informal there. And we've already, like I said, taken care of the housekeeping. So let's go. See how strong she is. And she's already got the nicest stuff. I think I just usually give her another shield, just like I do yeah, I usually just give her another shield. Oh, she can use reflect shields, damn. So that's in the original for sure. since I don't think we're gonna need money much longer, except once Rochelle's open again, you can buy weapons there, but I don't know how long they'll be good for, basically, at that point in the game. I can't remember, so let's buy her another shield. Because reflect shields up your magic too, and they're super strong, so let's give her 2. Wow, just wasted my money big time. I didn't know there was that little of a difference. Let's see if Rune could use that old silver circlet. Oh wow, that's actually a lot better. Down 2 mental though. Whatever. Just like that. Sell her slicer. I don't think we need that anymore. I'll keep the psycho stuff. We'll sell Ren's new gear. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna need much more money the rest of the game. Right, is that it? Okay. Esper Mansion. Interesting that those don't come up on your list, the order that you visited them in. It's kind of interesting. So I went to Esper Mansion last. Let's talk to these people. And obviously these people won't let you enter unless she's in your party. So yeah, I can't remember, you know, all the dialogue in this, but some of this is some of it is our small foreshadowing to the new information that again I got from developers that we're gonna learn here very shortly. Try to talk to everybody. We'll ring around the rosy here. You know, kind of like I said with the whole Paseo is maybe termy thing, and that's the direction that I went with my patch. Desorians for Dummies. Yeah, unless it is in cryogenic sleep in Phantasy Star 2, so so techniques are derived from magic, and that's in like the official lore. Yeah, and same thing with, you know, Reverent One. It seemed from all the dialogue that would be his official title, basically, for all these people. So you capitalize it 'cause it's his official title before his name. And that capitalizing titles when their name is not attached to it, that's actually a style choice. Depends on like AP style, New York style, or, you know, like business writing or PR writing, you know. Hello. So this is new, and this is pertaining to the information, like I said, that I put into the game that we're about to learn. As I walk the other way to talk to the rest of the people. Yeah, so again, this is not really in the lore either, but yeah, there was a lot of conflict between Dazorians and Palmans, because Palmans are kind of like the colonizers, and and they were, the natives essentially. Yeah, this is the name of the. I think that's the name of the book in the game, and like, I don't think that makes sense. Like, how could your if it's a natural ability, it doesn't really have anything to do with like your religion. Unless they're trying to say this is how those with ESP use their powers within this religion. I'm not really sure. But it doesn't kind of seem to make sense to me on the surface, at least. Yeah, and death, you could capitalize that if it's general or... Laconia rods you can use to cast FS, but Thunderclaws are usually more effective for most enemies, so I just leave it on Thunderclaw for Rune and for Raja. Yeah, so again, this in my opinion, really key part of the story that I added in here. It's from a developer interview in the Phanta 30th anniversary. Fanzine, which is mostly focused on cosplay, but it has some developer interviews, and some awesome people were good enough to translate them into English for fans. This fan translation work, it's amazing. People are so dedicated, and it's so time consuming. This is a fun place to save for just like the story. And if you want to like run through, the kind of the back half of the game, this is a good place to stop and save, and keep a save number too. This dude has a name in the notes, just kind of like the principal did in Piata. So it's like, yeah, if he's got a name in the director's notes and in the design document, it's like, why not use it? If you're gonna bother giving him a portrait, we might as well have a name for him, I think. Oh, and that's what I was gonna say. If you look at first glance, it might not seem like the geography of Phantasy Star 1 and 2 and 4 like really match up. I'm not sure that they completely do, but the Esper Mansion was at the west side of the crevice, and you have to cross the crevice from the east side in Phantasy Star 2, so we're just getting there in a different way, but it's actually in the same spot in this game. You just can't really tell unless you look at a map of the whole planet. Let me see if I got the right dialogue. Oh, she just says, like, the original is like, oh, I wonder what kind of person he would be, and I thought it'd be funnier to compare herself to him, because she's 1 year old. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, he's a magician, but he's more of like a sage. A magician implies magical power, in a world like this. I think a sage always implies, wisdom in addition to, magic power and even holy power. And I think that's an important distinction, and that's really more what Lutz is. I think we could probably agree on, so. And obviously that's how they revere him. Yeah, I noticed they call him the Reverend One. And yeah, that's just can be a normal title, but then, they're obviously we hear, you know, must have been there were a Reverend 2, a Reverend 3, a 4, because now there's a Reverend 5th. So alright, so now we're getting some juicy story. Yeah, so he, you know, his original line, he left this world long ago. That's fine, but, you know, I think this could use a, you know, a little bit more of a flourish. And this feeds into, like, oh, he's not completely gone from the world. If you just say he left the world, you know, he's totally gone. But if you say he left this mortal plane, you know, that gives Rune an opening to kind of actually explain what he means, that he's not totally gone. I thought Kyra's feature was really good, so I didn't need to I didn't change it except to add, you know, he must at the end. Yeah, so again. So the original line, his physical body is no more. Oh, actually, I should look up the notes for this. Ask for Mansion, see if they have any translation notes for me. No, they don't. They have the original, but the prototype English script is pretty close to this. So they don't really have any notes on that. So I'll just, you know, we'll just read along here. But yeah, so I, you know, obviously like this a lot better. To describe that, you know, Lutz is ingrained in, you know, the destiny and the energy of Algol itself now, and that's why he can't disappear, not just because he was, you know, a magician or something. I gotta find my place here. Oh, yep, I'm right here. Glowing ball. Yeah, and this is a chance for Rune to be like, no, you don't understand. Like, it's exactly what I said, but you're misunderstanding me, rather than just saying like, no, Lutz isn't here, which he said originally. Yeah, instead of saying so now, be like that time is now. I love it. I love that picture of him. Just I wish it was animated, because that'd be an amazing GIF. Yeah, instead of saying, you know, that is correct, it's obviously, you know, kind of. So the answer, I think, is a manner of speaking instead of saying this is correct. So this is, again, in the these developer notes. They basically just said, like, this was like an actual thing, you know, of the Espers. That's kind of what part of what they did here in terms of their study and all that. They were like, you had, you know, they didn't just choose Rune like at random. Like he won basically a competition essentially to get this honor. You know, he was not just selected by, you know, because he was born, you know, blue hair or something. So this is pretty freaking cool when I read this information, you know, from the developers. And you know, it was just a really cool way, a really cool opportunity to expand, you know, on the story of the game, but also, you know, their, you know, show how Rune's personality has evolved, and, you know, you can imagine these guys, you know, like, how they might have got along, you know, as rivals. So, yeah, so I wrote this dialogue, but this was the intention for the character, in so many words. So I just kind of gave a voice to it. And it explains, you know, how Zio ended up on Motavia because he was banished from Dizoris, basically. I don't know how he flew there, but, you know, he got there somehow. Maybe Dark Force opened a portal, you know, took him in the portal and spit him out in Motavia, I don't know. And, you know, also what Rune was doing in Motavia in the first place, because he was, you know, not just running around, destroyed villages, you know, but, he knew, for whatever reason at this point, that, you know, Zio had probably become really dangerous, or he maybe gotten word of him somehow, you know, that he was starting to, or, you know, an evil magician was starting to make a name for himself on Motavia or something. So that's what Rune is doing on Motavia. So it really wraps up, you know, information, all the information, with the stuff that we didn't know or didn't really have an explanation. And I think it makes the story a lot more, you know, even more engaging by tying up those loose ends. So it's pretty friggin' excited to learn that. Love working in the subtitle, so I changed that a little bit to do that. Instead of saying every 1,000 years and then ending the next sentence with every 1,000 years, the end of the millennium. Yeah, and originally it says a courageous person, singular, which, you know, I don't... Obviously, it's not what happened. You know, it's always, you know, a person with their friends. And, you know, I think it's an important distinction. You know, Alyssa didn't go out Dragon Warrior 1 style and, you know, take care of everything herself. Yeah, there's not really any notes on this in the cutting room floor page, so I'm just comparing it to the direct script right now. Yes, this is pretty much about the same. And we've already established that, you know, 1,000 years, so we could take that out here, I think. And I went into why Palma exploded a little bit and kind of like Dark Force's influence on that, and not just, you know, like what he says here is like Algo was shaken 1,000 years ago by the explosion of Palma. Like, well, how did that, you know, why? So I think it's really important to describe. You know, it was not just Palma randomly exploding into Gaia randomly exploding into it. Is because of Dark Force's influence. You know, on society, in society, basically, and, you know, possessing the hearts of the Earth people. Yeah, instead of saying the delicate balance was upset, I mean, clearly Helgul is damaged, you know, forever, you know. Irrevocably, right? Is that the word? Yeah, instead of saying the soldier to fight the battle, you know, I think it's cooler to say, well, you know, you're this cycle's hero. I think it's a cool distinction, because he obviously is. Yeah, and, you know, in RPGs, you know, stuff like this, like you lose a party member or something like that, and, you know, everyone kind of forgets about them, I feel like. I wanted to keep Alice's memory, you know, alive with these characters. You know, it's the love of Rune's life. It's, you know, Rudy's mentor. You know, I wanted to keep that more alive. And then, you know, Alice and Rudy, you know, something comes up, you know, later in the game about that. So, you know, I just didn't want you to forget about her. And, you know, this is true. Like, part of why Rune would soften toward Rudy, or, you know, at least pay him mind, basically, was that, you know, Alice believed in him. And he trusts Alice's judgment. I love this picture too. Yeah, so instead, the original line, we'll keep on cooperating with each other, right? You know, not much witty banter there. Thought this was a little funnier. And, like, you can see, you know, in this picture, like, how much taller Rune is. And he's always, you know, with the short stack nickname that I just came up with. Yeah, same thing, like, you know, Raja's not in our party anymore, but, you know, the players should remember, like, that's part of what, you know, they're doing too. You want to, you know, you want to save your buddy so that he wasn't, you know, mentioned in the original script. You know, the original line was, but use the eclipse torch, you'll be destroyed. Well, how? You know, and why? Oh, the burning light, you know, the eclipse torch. I would have said, like, holy or something there if I had space. Yeah, his original line, oh, I've always been like this. That's fine, but, you know, I think it's funnier to be like, to, you know, contrast him to, you know, to Lutz. Since Kyrie just did just that, too. And he's obviously got, you know, a part of, like, Lutz's, like, psyche in him, so it's just funny to comment that, you know, it only has so much, influence, you know, over his actions and his attitudes. It says something like that in the original script, and I just made like a joke that this is, you know, there's no official Generation 4. You know, there's Gen 1, the remakes, Gen 1 and 2. But no official Gen 4, so that's why that the silly line is in there. Because he just, you know, he just says something about, like, oh, just stop, you know, looking like you're behind or whatever. Yeah, they say, like, we got the, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, so, Corona Temple, Corona Tower. This is in the game. This is in the original script, even. That this temple was constructed on the site of Corona Tower. And obviously this is still kind of a tower, even though it's kind of been converted. So, you know, you'd imagine part of the structure is the dungeon. You know, I doubt it, you know, corresponds one-to-one, you know, at this point, you know, 1,000 years later. But, yeah, they say in the game this was the site of, like, you know, a big tower or whatever, so this is, you know, it's on Corona Temple, so on the Purist patch, I think I kept it as Gumbius, which is also, there's many ways to translate Gumbius, you know, anyway. These guys don't have much to say, really. This is blocked. Go down here yet? Yeah. I think they'll be unblocked later. Anyone over here? Yeah, and obviously the Eclipse Torch. Frostbittens. Yeah, Eclipse Torch used in Phantasy Star 1 on the Laramie tree. Or is it the Mora tree? I think it's the Laramie tree. Laramie, that's right. To make it bloom, you feed that to Meow. Meow flies you up to their castle. Yeah, so here's a little... Yeah, and this guy had a name too. Like, why not give him, you know, why not give him his name? He's got a portrait. Yeah, so even this guy, like, tells jokes. So that's in the original script, to lightly lend out the torch. It just made me laugh, since that's kind of a pun. I doubt they did that on purpose when they wrote it. But, just makes me laugh. So I thought, why not make more of it? Yeah, you know. This jerk. These jerks plural, I should say. Yeah, so again, it's just slightly phrased differently. Yeah, just making this a little more flowery, you know, a little more dramatic. Yeah, instead of saying, you know who will be waiting for you at the air castle, you know. Make it a little more sinister. Yeah, and make it a little more personal, between, you know, the soul of Lutz and, who awaits us in there. Yeah, that's, this should be a that instead of a which. Because he's called the singular eclipse torch, so the flame that we hold holy has been taken. Yeah, instead of saying don't be depressed, you know, that's kind of a lame line. It's like make it more actionable on Rudy's part. See if there's any translation notes on this stuff. I don't think so. Oh, and I forgot, at the end of the rune, you know, story reveal and everything, Kyra just says "wah," which it's not what we're going for. Yeah, not many notes on this either. Yeah, and just added some more history here. Because Ren would know. Yeah, added a comma here. Yeah, I changed just like person to ruler. Yeah, again, just making this a little more dramatic, you know, calling the illegitimate king in the high castle. Because he was supposed to be like a caretaker of the throne, like in Return of the King, the Steward of Gondor. Yeah, so just added, you know, little. He was already, you know, he says the Sheik was defeated by the first generation Lutz. I don't know what we'll find until we get there. You know, just making it a little more like This doesn't make sense. What's happening? Kind of feeling. We got all our goodies. I don't have any translation notes here. Yeah, and that's a similar picture to what you see in Phantasy Star 1, so I thought it was good to have Rune be like, yeah, oh, that's so clear to me. And that's how he can identify it. Yeah, I figured it would be good to have her tease Rudy about what specifically he's afraid of, which, you know, maybe is ghosts. Which we've established, you know, he's some kind of ghost or something. Air Castle. And let's go. Alright, new episode. Let's do it. Let's see how long that was. 45 minutes.